Hey boys and girls, today we are going to be taking a look at how to expand decimals, how to express it in expanded form. So it's going to be really similar to expanding out your whole numbers, in which we use the same method of multiplying the digit by the value of the place value it's sitting in. And we're just going to extend that knowledge to our decimals. So let's go ahead and talk about, there's two different ways we can do it, fraction form and decimal form. So let's write out the fraction equivalents of our place values. So whole numbers are real simple. We'll just leave those alone. So 100 is 100. You can put it over 1 if you would like to, but we don't need to in this case. Tens are 10, ones are 1. When we get to the decimal, we always pronounce it as and. And then when we get to tenths, well, tenths as a fraction is 1/10. 100th is 1 over 100. Thousandths, 1/1000th. And a 10,000th is 1/10,000th. So this is going to be really important when we start expanding it out in fraction form. Let's take a look at decimal form. So again, our whole numbers are just our whole numbers, hundreds, tens, ones. When we get to tenths, let's express that as a decimal. 1/10. 1/100th. 1,000th. 1/10,000th. So this portion right here, this is going to be as tough as it gets. This is the really important information that's going to help us to write our decimals in expanded form. So let's talk about, well, what is the meaning of expanded form? Why do we care about it? Well, we care about expanded form because what it does is it explains to us a little bit more what the value of each digit is. So the 4 that's right here in the front of this number, it's not just 4. It's not just 4 single things. It's 4 sets of 10. So that is actually worth 40. So that's essentially what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be breaking down our numbers, and we're going to go digit by digit and say what the digit is worth, and then we add them all up at the end. So we do treat it just like whole numbers, where we multiply the digit. So we're going to multiply this digit by the value of the place value it's sitting in. So again, if this 4 is in the tens place value, we're going to do 4 times 10, which is 40. And that's precisely what we're going to do over here. So let's take a look at this number and let's break it down, each digit, and talk about its value. So in decimal form, that 4 is sitting in the tens place. That's 4 sets of 10. The 2 is sitting in the ones place, so that's 2 sets of 1. The 5 is in the tenths place, so that is 5 sets of a tenth. The 9 is sitting in the hundredths place, and that is 9 sets of 1/100th. It's 9 hundredths. And then the 8 is sitting in the thousandths place value, so it is 8 sets of 1,000. And so let's look at that in fraction form as well. Well, the 4 is still 4 sets of 10 because it's 40. 2 is 2 sets of 1. Now the 5, this is 5 sets of 1/10. Sorry if that's small, but that's 1/10. I'll write it over here a little bit bigger. Sideways fraction bar, 1/10. The 9 is in the hundredths place value, so it's 9 sets of 1/100th. And again, I'll write it over here a little bit bigger. And the 8 is sitting in the thousandths place value, so it is 8 sets of 1,000th. Sideways fraction bar to make it a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and now take all of this information and let's break apart our number into expanded form. So I think about it kind of like an accordion, the instrument, where you're pulling the number apart, and then when you add them all up, you're kind of condensing it back together into standard form. So let's go ahead and write this number in decimal form first. So let me stay with my colors. So 4, well, the 4 is 4 sets of 10. That's 40. 2 times 1, because we had 2 sets of 1. The 5 is 5 sets of 1/10. The 9 is 9 sets of 1/100th. The 8 is 1 set of 1,000th. Now there's another way we can do this. We can go ahead and actually do the math here. So 4 times 10 is 40. 2 times 1 is 2. The 5 sets of 1/10, that is 5/10. 9/100. 8/1000. So I will be okay with either one of these versions. However, I might give you a number in expanded form like this, and you need to be able to interpret what that is or convert it into standard form. So please don't just ignore this. Let's make sure we understand what that means. And now let's tackle the same exact number, but in fraction form. So the 4 is 40, so it's 4 times 10. The 2 is 2 sets of 1. The 5 is 5 sets of 1/10. The 9 is 9 sets of 1/100th. And the 8 is 8 sets of 1,000. So we can also, again, go ahead and do the math. And so that's 40 plus 2 plus 5/10 plus 9/100 plus 8/1000. So again, I will accept either one of these when I ask you to put it into expanded form. But again, I might give it to you like this, and you need to be able to turn it into standard form. So let's do another example together. Let's take a look at 375, and now just to kind of review how we say our decimals, I'm going to say this back number as a whole number. That would be 7,829, and the place value of that 9 is 10,000ths. So that's 375 and 7,829 10,000ths. So let's expand that out in decimal form. So we've got 3 times 100, because the 3 is in the hundreds place value, plus 7 times 10, because that's 7 in the tens place value, that's 7D, plus 5, that's sitting in the ones place value. Okay, and this is where it gets not trickier, but this is the new piece of information. The 7 is sitting in the tenths place value, so we are going to add that to 7 times 1/10. Again, it's just going to be multiplying it by the value of the place value it's sitting in. The 8 is in the hundredths, so this is 8 times 100th, plus 2, that's in the thousandths place value, plus 9, that's in the 10,000ths place value. And let's go ahead and translate all of this into fraction form now as well. So it's going to be 3 times 100 plus 7 times 10 plus 5 times 1. Again, I'm just breaking it up into expanded form. And now, again, this is 7/10ths. So it's 7 times 1/10. 8/100ths. So it's 8 times 100th. The 2 is in the thousandths place value. So we're going to go ahead and multiply that by 1,000th, 2 times 1,000th, and then the 9 we're multiplying by 1/10,000th. And there you go. Those are your two versions of expanded form.